In this video, we're going to work on quantitative reasoning with rectangles. As before, all of these applications require that you read the question first, draw a picture or diagram, assign a variable, translate to an equation, solve the equation, check your solution, and then state the answer clearly. Making sure you use appropriate units. So in our scenario, we're going to look at the uniqueness of a rectangle. There are two parts that are very common related to rectangles. The first is the perimeter. And the perimeter of a rectangle is the sum, or adding up, all four sides. The area of a rectangle is the product of the length by the width. Just keep in mind that this could be width by length, it's just the two sides. In example 1, we have the width of a rectangle is 3 times the length. If the perimeter is 220 feet, what are the dimensions of the rectangle? We want the dimensions of the rectangle, so first I'm going to draw a rectangle. We know that width is 3 times length, so W equals 3 times L. And L is just L. So we can write the width as the longer of the two. So if this is our length, then 3 lengths is equal to the width. So I'll label the longer sides of my rectangle with the 3L. And now I know that the perimeter is 220. And you may remember the perimeter formula. P is 2 length plus 2 width. You may have also seen 2 times length plus width. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 lengths plus 2 widths, or 2 times the length plus 2 times width. And I know that that's equal to 220 feet. So if I have 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, I can replace the width with 3L. That way all my variables are in terms of L. Then I can simplify. So 220 gives me 2L plus 6L. And so 220 is equal to 8L. And then if I divide both sides by 8, this isolates the L variable, and if I go ahead and put 220 divided by 8 into my calculator, I get 27.5, and this is in feet, so this is in feet. So length is 27.5 feet. I'm going to use a different color pen to identify this, 27.5 feet. And so 3L would just be 27.5 times 3. So the width is 82.5. Now we can double check that our perimeter comes out to be 220. We would just take, and this is our check. I'll go ahead and do this in green just to keep track. So our check is 82.5 times 2, because we have 2 of those, plus 2 times 27.5. And so we want to make sure that this is equal to 220. And so when I put that in my calculator, I do indeed get 220 feet. So this is our final answer. And just make sure that you have little feet marks there, or you can write FT Now let's take a look at example 2. The area of a rectangle is 7,500 square feet. If one side of the rectangle is 60 feet, what are the dimensions of the rectangle? Well, it's a rectangle, and so we know the area of a rectangle, which is the whole thing. It takes up 2 dimensions. The area of a rectangle is equal to length times width. And we happen to know what the square feet are, or the area is. So that's your A. We also know that one side is 60 feet. So we could call this the length. It doesn't matter which is assigned as the length and which is assigned as the width at this point. We just need to assign one variable to the 60 feet so we can find the other. So if we're trying to solve for W, I'm going to go over to my formula for the area of a rectangle and divide by L on both sides. And I'm doing this to isolate the W. The W is the unknown, and so the area over the length will equal the width. And now I just substitute my values I know into my new formula. The area of the rectangle in the numerator will be, and I'm just going to go over here so you can see what I'm doing, 7,500 divided by 60 is equal to W. This will give us the width of the rectangle. And now we can just put this in our calculator, 7,500, and then the division symbol, 60. This will give us the width. So the width is 125 feet. Now we can just double check that we have the right thing. If we know that area is equal to 60 times 125, we should be getting something that's equal to 7,500. So let's just double check that. 60 times 125 equals, sure enough, 7,500 square feet. And we're done.